This is for one of my students. I'm realizing, of course, when I do something for one of my students, if it's talking about good principles of cello, that works for everybody. We talked about the balance point at the lesson, and this is the balance point on this bow. It'll be in a slightly different place for every bow. And then I know a lot of teachers, we didn't necessarily talk about this at your lesson, but it's just the shape of your hand relaxed. It has a natural arch from the elbow, from the sense of how the fingers work, from the palm. You can see how the thumb naturally is relaxed and can be long in its curving quality. And that when I put it this way, at this just ever so slightly, instead of square with my fingers, which you see a lot of cellists do, and that's okay. I'd say more often I use my fingers at this angle. See, I'm not even doing anything with my thumb. I'm holding the bow kind of just with my other hand. But you see on the down bow, my fingers will naturally squish a little. We didn't necessarily talk about this. And then on the up bow, when I drag the bow the other way, so there's this natural circular quality. We talked about that you don't just hike your arm up and leave it and then your hand gets tight. Oh gosh, even just doing that little bit didn't make my hand feel very good. So here, do you see that? And then my thumb just fits into that curve right there. And there's so many videos. If you go back through that red T circle with the white T on it, you'll find lots of stuff. And you see that the thumb the whole time is doing different flexibility things that couple with the fingers. So on the down bow, up bow, I have even had students over the years just kind of have their other hand and it just drags. Once you touch it, you float, and you can kind of get the sense of scoopy or that elliptical kind of feeling with the arm. And we happen to talk about the fact that this is halfway between here and here. It's a goofy angle, so it's going to look weird for this video. But right here, halfway in between, is a harmonic. I'm not even pushing down. There's the octave A, octave D. So you can use this to tune. It's just like perching on this nice little buoyant arches. Now what's really cool about that place that we talked about, people, when they put their thumb here and their first finger here, they call it fourth position, because this is one, that would be E on the D string, E or F or F. F sharp would be second position, F or F sharp. If it's a G or G sharp, if it's G sharp, then my 2 would be opposite of my thumb. That's called fourth position. And that's a perfect fifth, and that's when you do that twinkle, twinkle, little star. Now you could keep these other fingers down, or they can just relax. I like it. This is what we were talking about at your lesson. That I just let my fingers relax, that I'm on the fingers that I'm not on. And then when I go back to 1, you can just see the balance of my arm ever so subtly shift. And again, just like in the bow arm, I'm honoring these natural, curvy, comfy things and sitting on my 2 sit bones and that take the place of our feet. And then my legs can be flexible and they're not just stuck and twisted under me somehow. You can start with 4 bows. And then if they all 4 sound great, you can do 2. And then this was the exercise to go. And then just let the whole arm drift, almost like there's helium inside and it just floats. So if you did this, that would be a really great exercise to do. Now, if you can do it on 1 string, you can do it on any string. So this is the same thing. It kind of turns a corner here. You can see the bow trajectory is a little different. Too bad it can't video out wider, but float it up. You see the whole arm just floats up, and then it comes back down because it's got this side of the cello to clear. If you wanted to do 4, and if any of that's tricky, you can just pause. again, keep feeling what you're doing. Continue to feel what you're doing. That's a nicer way of putting it. And then let's do it with 2. And even though I'm old hat on the cello, my tone got better. So here now it tips to the C string. This is a little odd. My fingers are a little more, you see, that's what it was on the D string, G string, C string. It's just got kind of a funny little difference for the C string. And then 4. We talked about feeling like you're a comfortable, easygoing athlete. Everything should look and feel well balanced, just dropping on the cello, touching and floating. And then it has a great sound because that's an A, which is just like the open A, just an octave lower. They should have a similar quality. So. Now let's try that exercise. And then you just float. Let's do that on the G string. On the D, and you see how it's flexible? It just does this kind of neat rolling teeter totter thing. And you can even see from up here, it looks perpendicular here at the hair. This is perpendicular, that's perpendicular. It changes. Now we didn't do it on the A string yet. Just let it roll in your hand. You don't have to hike up your arm to go to the A string. It just rolls and balances, and it changes, but it doesn't have to be like that. So, and then here I am. Remember, an octave higher is the harmonic. We can come back to that. And here's the, right here in 4th position. Float. You don't have to push the floated one. I can put it down and it's the same note, but it could just be a floaty harmonic. Now what's neat about this note, if I go to the D string, that's on the A string. If I go to the D string, it's the same sound, harmonic. So on the A string halfway, 1 in 4th position, and you can see my arm moves when I do that. So if that's a principle between the A and the D string, that same principle applies between the D and the G string. So that's the halfway point, and then this. And then the same thing is true on the G and the C string. This is a G octave. And if you look, you can even see my C string vibrating if you have a bigger video screen. And then here it is on. Now, what's interesting is these harmonics. Remember we said it's an octave. If I float this up, maybe 2 would be more comfortable because it is the longest finger. So here, if I float it up, way up here, halfway in between, this D is an A, and then in the middle is the D. Where my first finger was is an A, and where 4th finger normally goes is a D. Oh yeah, if I go to where 3 goes, I'll get that higher one. And we were talking about this at your lesson also. Where that B is also an F sharp. So this F sharp is here at the major 6th. But it's also here if I float my finger in 1st position. So check this out, where 3 goes in 1st position, oops. Where 4 goes in 1st position. That 1 where that was in 4th position, here's that 3. And then here's that middle of it octave. And then, now when we go up here, this is going to be that sol, ti, re, fa chord. And then another octave. And yes, your bow's going to have to go closer to the bridge as you go higher up. Oh yeah, even here there's that harmonic also. Sometimes those harmonics are harder to get that me one. And then up here's that really out of tune scale. But that gives you an idea, like the trumpets that didn't have valves would play in that harmonic series and try to tune. Wow, do I admire Baroque trumpeters. So you can see that's where this is an octave higher. So people that learn that Twinkle Twinkle Little Star can learn that up here with a harmonic. But then you let the finger balance down to the fingerboard enough. Whoops. I could tell I haven't done that in slow motion for a while. There it is. I make mistakes in teaching videos because I'm slowing down. You go, do you see? That's one, that's two balance, that's three balance. Here's the how I wonder what you are part. I hope that makes sense. If you start on an up and just go on, that's good. And if you aren't ready, you could just play this in the normal place. As musical when I'm playing, demonstrating, so I could do that better. Want to keep feeling and flexibility as you do that. One of the things I did was like a trumpet tune. So like this one. Not exactly like a military trumpet tune, but that's something like that you could do up here. And all those were just light touching harmonics. And of course, it is the same note. But it's just so easy when it's a harmonic. And it has that kind of fluty tone. But these notes then can help you when you want to play them with a more firm finger. There was a passage, just for example, in the Brahms Third Symphony that was, I had my thumb on where fourth finger usually goes, on G and C, and then I made a fifth between 2 and 3, and it was, oh sorry, the B went to the C, so I did this, because it goes really fast, and then I had this F, A, C, and my thumb moved up a step. And then it went to B flat, and then it went back to the C. And then, so more in tempo. Sorry. It's funny, 2 days later, I can't play it. And then back to this. Of course, I didn't have it memorized. Well, I did have it memorized. So, the tempo was like and I had it ready for the concert. But it is pretty funny if I don't keep practicing and if I'm not worried about it because the concert's done, that's gone. But the first thing was this. So it's an E minor chord. So isn't it funny how it goes away and I didn't perform it from memory. I performed it with the music. So is this pattern of this E minor and the B was the one that is in both. You have an E, G, B, and then a D sharp, F sharp. This is beyond what you're doing, but all these things build up so that you can play more fancy stuff somewhere down the line. That's the short story. And yes, I haven't played this for 2 days, and you can tell. And then it had this. Oh, and then this. And then this. And that's the thing, we all learn it in little chunks, and then can I put all those chunks together? So the exact same things that I ask you to do, I have to apply myself. And if it isn't something that I would do, why would I ask you to do it? Is a big part of my teaching philosophy. If my hand, I want it to be this comfortable when I play, I'm going to ask you to do that and not have you do some like grabby bow hold. It's a bow flexible, and you can see why. I use that all the time in orchestra playing. It's this jiggly bow. So it gives you an idea of the things I'm asking you to do would be things that you'd want to do and keep growing in for the rest of the time that you get to play cello, because why not have it be comfy and fun and keep growing and able to play more and more interesting things. And yes, and this is my Is the Cat in the Hat by Dr. Schrodinger. That's quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat. That's the joke t-shirt of the day. Anyway, have a great day. You can tell I'm overtired. I hope this is helpful to whomever might view it. Bye.